This young rabbit family is working harder than ever, but their stash of leaves buys fewer carrots every single month. It brings up a question we all ask when the grocery bell hits. Why can't the government just force prices to stay exactly the same? To answer that, we have to look at what money actually is. Societies used to trade items that had obvious physical value, like carrots or tools. Today, we use fiat currency, represented here by leaves. These leaves have zero real-world use. They only hold value because our society mutually agrees they do. Because of that mutual agreement, prices are set entirely by the math of supply and demand. If 3 rabbits each have 100 leaves, and the local store has exactly 3 carrots, the price is stable and everyone can buy what they need. But if those rabbits suddenly get a bonus of 100 extra leaves, and the store still only has 3 carrots, the owner has a problem. If prices stay the same, the store sells out overnight. So they raise the price tag to balance things out. Since the leaves themselves are basically just paper, their worth is completely at the mercy of this delicate balance. It's an invisible tug-of-war between the supply of the currency and the supply of actual physical goods. This image shows cargo ships backed up at sea. It is a perfect visual record of how physical problems, like extreme weather or broken transport routes, drastically restrict the available supply of goods coming into a country. When those ships fail to dock, we see this: empty supermarket shelves. Consumers are instantly thrown into fierce competition to buy whatever limited items are left. Economists call this cost-push inflation. External difficulties force the baseline cost of survival upwards. This is a U.S. stimulus check. When survival gets too expensive, governments frequently respond by injecting massive amounts of newly printed money directly into the economy to help struggling citizens afford rent and food. But adding a flood of new money into the system without actually adding any new goods triggers a secondary shock: demand pull inflation. With more cash chasing the exact same empty shelves, prices explode even higher. Printing money to solve a physical supply shortage doesn't create a single extra piece of food. It only guarantees that the food that does exist becomes mathematically more expensive to buy. So what happens if a government decides to ignore that math? What if they just keep printing money endlessly to keep up with the rising prices? You get hyperinflation. This is the catastrophic breakdown where a currency completely loses the agreed-upon value that made it function as money in the first place. This photograph shows a woman sitting in the rubble of 1946 Hungary. Following the Second World War, the country's infrastructure was decimated. Faced with massive war debts and zero industrial capacity, the government flooded their banking system with cash to jumpstart the economy. This is the 100 million pengo note. The printing got so wildly out of hand that prices were doubling every 15 hours. Citizens needed astronomical denominations just to buy a loaf of bread before the price changed again. Look at these Zimbabwean dollars from the country's 2008 collapse. The government printed trillions to pay off loans. That left consumers carrying this, a $100 trillion bill, just to buy groceries. The math broke down so completely that Zimbabwe abandoned its currency entirely. When the supply of money completely detaches from the physical reality of available goods, the currency ceases to be money. It reverts to being exactly what it is: worthless pieces of paper. If printing money is so dangerous, you might wonder why the government doesn't just print absolutely zero money and let prices fall. That scenario is called deflation. Goods get cheaper over time, which means the money sitting in your pocket will buy more tomorrow than it does today. It sounds great until you look at the psychology of it. If you know a car will be cheaper next month, you wait. Consumers stop spending. They hoard their money, waiting for prices to drop even lower. This photo shows a Japanese stock ticker during their decades-long battle with falling prices. The population held on to their money, assuming things would get cheaper, which directly suppressed economic activity. A hoarding economy is a dying economy. If no one spends money today, businesses close, no one gets hired, and the entire financial system grinds to a halt. To avoid the ruin of hyperinflation and the paralysis of deflation, modern central banks engineer a middle ground: a low, stable, intentionally designed inflation rate of around 2%. This 2% target serves a specific psychological purpose. It guarantees that cash loses a tiny fraction of its value each year, creating a built-in incentive for people to spend or invest their money right now, instead of stuffing it under a mattress. For the rabbit family, that constant squeeze on their leaves acts as the necessary engine keeping their society's economy moving. If they hoard physical carrots, they rot. If they hoard fiat leaves, they lose their purchasing power. The only mathematical way to beat the 2% squeeze is to outpace it. By planting their resources today, the rabbits ensure their wealth multiplies much faster than the currency ever devalues. Inflation is an unavoidable force of nature in a modern market, but those who choose to invest rather than hoard can ensure their personal wealth grows right alongside the economy.